I'm pretty woefully out of shape, and I would like to not be out of shape anymore. So instead of waiting until January to do 3 weeks of New Year's resolutions and then turn back into a pumpkin, I'm going to take the next 4 months of 2025 to completely overhaul my behavior in an attempt to overhaul my physique, my being out of shapeness. We're gonna get stronger, we're gonna lose a little bit of weight, we're just gonna get overall better. So I'm gonna walk you through my entire process. I am getting in the weeds about this body composition change journey. Hopefully, my intention with this video is that you pick up some tools that you can use in your own body composition journey. I love to plot everything out to try and see the trouble before the bend so that I know what is going to get in my way, so that I have a plan of attack and a plan to beat those challenges. I've gone through multiple periods of weight loss and weight gain, so I understand my body. This is not going to be a one-to-one to your body. This is just my process, but I'm hoping you can pick up a few things. First and foremost, we have to start with nutrition. The nutrition side of things is going to be the bedrock of this. 90% of the weight you lose is going to be down to the food or lack of food that you are consuming. It's all well and good to get back in the gym, to work as hard as you can, to gain strength. That's the fun part. That's the stuff that I love. But the nutrition side of things has been my Achilles heel, and for a lot of my clients, it has also held them back. So we're gonna talk through nutrition first, spend a lot of time on that, and move through the whole process. If I'm going to be making a change, I like to start with a measurable goal. I like to be as specific as possible. Weight loss is very simple. Usually your goal is going to be you want to lose X amount of pounds or you want to gain X amount of pounds. It is very black and white, very cut and dry. That's why I like starting with nutrition. My goal for the next 4 months, lose 30 pounds. Now, where do I come up with this goal? This is not just a number that I picked out of the air. I have noticed in the past that I have done very well with 3 to 4 month bursts of weight loss, calorie deficits, and I usually lose about 10 pounds a month. So I've stretched this out a little bit, 4 months as opposed to 3, so that I can lower my calories a little bit less, so that my deficit is not as steep, so that I do not run into the hunger issues that have plagued me in the past. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm a new dad, full-time parent, full-time job. So the stress and my stress eating might be a little bit more difficult, or it may weigh heavier on me than when I was doing my initial weight loss right out of college, not a lot of personal responsibilities, just had my, job to think about, but I didn't have my family to think about. So that extra stress on top of me makes me think that a slightly less steep calorie deficit, meaning 500 calories rather than my usual 750 to 1,000, will set me up better for success. This is the first question you have to ask yourself. After you've decided to make a behavior change, after you've decided it's time to lose a little bit of weight or gain a little bit of weight, what can you commit to? If you've tried a body composition change before, think about what worked and what didn't. If this is your first go, be a little bit more on the conservative side. If you think you can handle a 1,000 calorie deficit, maybe start with 750 or 500. You don't know what it's gonna feel like when you're 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and 6 weeks in. That hunger may be creeping up and it may set you back completely because you tried to go too hard, too fast. I know my body, hopefully you know your body. If you need some advice, some questions, jump into the Discord, ask, talk through your ideal calorie deficit, talk through your stressors, talk through what you think may be problems. We would love to have you. We've got the goal down, now we need to talk about our strategy. I touched on this a little bit. We're gonna reduce 500 calories for the first 4 weeks, that's the month of September. I have already started doing that. I'm experiencing quite a bit of success. The hunger levels are not anywhere near where I thought they would be. I'm doing pretty well on that. I've lost about 7 pounds already. A lot of that's water weight, so nothing to write home about just yet, but the process has begun well and we're continuing to work the process. Our bodies will adapt in a caloric deficit. Oftentimes you're gonna have to reduce the calories maybe 2 to 3 times, depending on how long you're cutting for. For me, I usually have to reduce every 4 weeks to continue to see that rate of weight loss that I want to. And since I have a set time, 4 months, that I want to lose the weight in, I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive with my drops. So 250 probably after the first 4 weeks, 250 maybe after the 10th week, we'll see where that is. That's gonna land somewhere between the 8 to 10 week zone, but we're never gonna drop below 1,000 calorie deficit. So my original BMR that I calculated using Macro Factor and a couple BMR calculators, it's not a pure science, but it's just a jumping off point, is 3,400. We're never gonna drop below 2,400. I have found personally that that is a recipe for disaster. I usually run into crazy fatigue issues and just insane cravings if I'm below 2,400 calories. It's just a recipe for disaster. Maybe if I want to do like a sprint to the finish for the last 2 weeks, we drop to 2,200. But I think the smarter thing to do is to set a hard bottom at 2,400. That's something that I very much encourage, because we can get into a point. I don't want to throw the disordered eating phrase around, but I will, because if you don't have a set bottom, you can just continue to drill down. It's like gambling. If you go to Vegas and you don't set yourself a bank limit, you're gonna walk out there poor. It's the same type of concept. You've got to set yourself guardrails so that you can succeed within those guardrails. So the strategy is set. Let's talk about tactics. Tactics are the day-to-day, the everyday grind, the everyday things that we're going to lean on to make sure that the strategy is successful. What I like to do is stick to 1 or 2 rotating meals for each feeding time. So if I'm doing breakfast, I have 1 or 2 meals. If I'm doing lunch, 1 or 2 meals. Dinner, 1 or 2 meals. I understand that this is not gonna work for everybody. I do not care even one bit about food variety. I have eaten the same lunch for 4 years straight. I love it. It's super easy to prepare. I know exactly what the macros are, and that may be weird, and you may not be the person that can deal with that. I totally understand. It may be that you need 3 or 4 meals that you can cycle through so that you don't go insane for lack of food variety. Know thyself. Understand what is going to work for you. For me, I can eat the same thing over and over again. So I'm rotating between 1 or 2 meals for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I have specific fruit that I am leaning on for snacks. I have found that fruit has been a game changer for me. It's pretty high fiber. A lot of the fruits that I eat, apples, kiwis, blueberries, raspberries, those are my go-tos. I can get a decent amount of volume in my stomach so I don't have those hunger pains that really get under my skin. Those are my meals. Those are my snacks. That's how I'm going to approach things. I also want to have 1 break glass in case of emergency meal. Now, this is like a cheat meal, except that it is not incredibly extravagant. I have come up against a ton of resistance in the past with weight loss because my cheat meals have been 8,000 calories and have absolutely wrecked a week's worth of progress in the past. I am a compulsive eater. I have a lot of bad habits when it comes to food. So I have come up with a meal that is cheat light, that is still going to give me the feeling psychologically that I'm cheating or that I'm taking a break from my diet, but it is not going to be a large pizza and wings from Domino's. It's going to be a little bit more controlled. So you have to have these break glass in case of emergency meals. I really believe in them, and I try not to implement them unless they are really, really necessary. If I'm really feeling the diet fatigue, if I'm really beaten down or just need a little bit of a boost, I try to keep them away. Maybe once every 3 weeks is the goal for the break glass in case of emergency meal, but you never know. Break glass in case of emergency can come up whenever. But if you have a set meal that you can lean on or that you can think about, it can really take some of the stress away from continually grinding towards your goal. We've got our tools here. What is going to help us get better? We've got Macro Factor, the best nutrition app on the planet. I'm not sponsored. I just love the app. A food scale and a scale for weighing. I love to weigh myself every day. That may not work for you. Find a schedule to weigh yourself so that you can tell whether or not the calorie deficit that you have set is actually doing what you want it to do. A food scale, can't say enough about these. You can get them on Amazon for like 15 to 20 bucks. You need to know the portions that you are putting in your body. You need to know, because you could say, okay, I'm eating healthy, but if you're eating 800 apples, your calories are going to be off the charts. You need to know the healthy foods that you're eating. Yes, the base foods, the high fiber, high protein foods. Perfect. We want to lean on those foods, but we don't want to lean on 3 servings of those foods and then ask ourselves, well, I'm eating healthy. I'm not eating McDonald's anymore. Why aren't I losing any weight? Because you're eating a metric ton of the healthy foods. Unfortunate, but that's the truth. So we need a food scale to make sure that we understand what is actually coming into our body. Some personal obstacles that have really set me back in the past. Number 1, first and foremost, eating from boredom. This is my Achilles heel. This is a killer for me. This takes me down all the time. I will come up against a film, TV, you know, just winding down after a hard day of being a parent and working, and think to myself, you know, I'm kind of bored. Let's watch something, but also we need a snack to go with it. X, nope, not for now. That is not a lifelong thing for me. There will be the little sweet treats in my future, but during this calorie deficit, no, we are not going to do that. That is going to set us back. You have to find the red line for things that you're going to cut out. And I know that that can sound a little daunting, but understand, you can ease back to a higher calorie once you get onto maintenance. You can find ways to still have the treats, to still have the things that make life worth living in a more healthy, in a way that supports your nutrition, a way that supports your lifestyle. But during a calorie deficit, I find it's easier, specifically for me, to stay away from that type of stuff. Also, I have noticed that my hunger kind of peaks between 10 and 12 and between like 3 and 6 p.m. So understanding that that is normal. Sometimes you're going to feel hungry when you're in a calorie deficit. That's totally normal. Remind myself of that thing, of those things when I'm feeling that hunger in those times so that I can kind of fight against it, and to time my snacks to those specific eating windows. Next up, we have cardio, not specifically for weight loss, although that will help a little bit to get the activity up a little bit more, but I have noticed that my cardiovascular fitness is nowhere near where I want it to be. Now, losing some weight will definitely help with that, but I also want to train my cardio fitness. I don't just want to be a meathead. I want to be functionally fit, be able to walk up and down stairs with my daughter without catching my breath, go on hikes, do all the things that I need to do to make sure that she has a rich and fulfilling life. So what we are going to try and do is get our resting heart rate below 70 beats per minute, and we're going to lower our blood pressure by January. My blood pressure is definitely on the mild to higher side of things, which is not great for someone who is 30, 31 years old. We want to get that under control, preferably without being medicated at this early stage of my life. You can find your own goals for your cardio fitness, or throw this aside if cardio is not something that you want to be focusing on. What's our strategy for cardio? Well, it is 150 minutes of low impact steady state cardio. That is the general recommendation by, I think, some cardiac association in America. How we're doing that, we have a treadmill in our garage. We're gonna throw the weighted vest on. It's about 30 pounds. We're gonna do an incline of 5 at 3 miles per hour. I don't love running. It really messes up my knees. I find that the lower impact, the incline and the weighted vest helps keep my knees and my ankles feeling a little bit better, feeling a little bit fresher. And then on top of that, we're gonna do 2 days of high impact cardio just on the assault bike. We do 20-40. So I do 20 seconds, I almost said 20 minutes, definitely not. 20 seconds of all out, go crazy, trying to get my heart rate into the 170s, 180s, 40 seconds of rest. I usually do between 10 and 15 intervals of that, depending on how many minutes we need for the week. The tactics to make sure that this strategy is successful is we have to make sure that we're waking up early. I do not have the time in my day to do an hour's worth of cardio on the days that I want to do it unless I am awake 2 hours before my daughter is awake so that I can get the cardio done, shower, get ready to take care of her. That is my life right now. You have different time constraints, you have different responsibilities. Make the schedule work for you. You can find the time in the day. I know that it is incredibly difficult. When I was younger, I used to, when I didn't have any life responsibilities, I used to look at parents and be like, how come you're not working out? You got all the time in the world. That was naive. That was dumb of me. I am a parent now and I understand how difficult it can be, but I want to offer you just a little bit of advice. Do a time audit. Audit your day to the best of your ability and find some time that you are not utilizing for the fullest. I know that there is going to be some time like that. I just know it. This is not coming from a place of judgment. I am in the same boat. It is so incredibly difficult in today's world to get the things done that you need to get done to continue on the path to health. I know how difficult it is, but do an audit, really nail down where you can have some gaps, and do even a walk for 20 to 30 minutes can help you in this arena. So I know that it's difficult, but it can be done. What's gonna stand in our way? Obviously wanting to sleep in. I love my sleep, and sometimes when that alarm goes off at 4:50, it really is gonna feel great to just turn it off and go back to sleep. But we have goals and we need to continue to work towards those goals. Also, I have dealt with obviously knee, ankle, and hip pain in the past. So that can really set my cardio back if I don't take care of those things. Understanding that I need to do my mobility work so that I'm able to continue to walk and move. These are my obstacles that we will, take into account, but understand that we have ways of getting around these obstacles. Strength training. Obviously, I'm a powerlifting coach and I am a powerlifting competitor. Maybe I want to get back to that level of competitive powerlifting. How in shape I was when I squatted 600, when I bench pressed 495, when I almost deadlifted 6. I want to get back to that level. But in order to do that, we're going to need to take a little bit of a break from powerlifting to really rein in some of the bad habits that I've created in the gym, not really understanding how to actually train the way that I need to train and just kind of being a meathead and grinding myself into dust. So we're going to run basic beginner bodybuilding programs probably until January, and then we're going to get back on to the powerlifting side of things. This is a little bit more personal to me, but if you are just starting out with a strength journey, there's a ton of great free programs on Boost Camp. Just look, anything that's labeled beginner is going to get you where you want to be. Run the program to the best of your ability. YouTube some exercises, YouTube some more information, join our Discord like I said. Anything beginner labeled is going to be really good. I've looked through a ton of the beginner programs. There's a beginner BlackBearBarbell program that you can look up on Boost Camp. Give it a go, find something, and just do it. Don't get caught in paralysis by analysis. Just get in the gym, work the program, give great effort, and you will get results. And then you can fine tune as you go. First 6 months to a year in the gym, just work hard doing something that is at least competent and you will make progress, I promise. I know I said nutrition was the bedrock of everything, but I also think that there's a bedrock underneath that. So I guess it's the sheetrock? I don't know construction, but sleep is gonna be incredibly impactful. I need to get between 6 and 7 hours. I can survive on 5, but the burnout will come if I'm at 5. So I'm really, really, really going to try and get 6 to 7 hours of sleep every single night. We set a bedtime of between 9:30 and 10, and let me tell you, it's been 2 weeks and I'm very, very proud of myself sticking to this 100% and sticking to my wake window. I have been up between 4:50 and 5:15 every single day since I started in early September. That is making me feel incredible. I feel like I have 2 days instead of just 1. I'm getting everything done. I really love waking up early. It has been a great success. How I am doing that? No phone in the bedroom. And I'm anti-phone in the bedroom, 100%. I know a lot of the bros and the peak scientist podcast people are, they're not always right, but sometimes they're right. And they're right about this. Don't have your phone in your bedroom. The first thing you're going to do when you wake up is look at your phone, and it is going to keep you awake longer than you want. 100%. I fully believe that. I'm 100% on board. Charge that bad boy. I charge it literally outside of my bedroom door. So I wake up and it is outside my bedroom door. The first thing I do is just breathe, kind of enter into the day a little bit more calmly instead of being inundated with all of the garbage that is in our world today. It has really revolutionized me. I will tell you that. I am big time anti-phone in the bedroom. Things I'm doing to kind of ease into sleep. I have my Kindle or a physical book on my bedside table. So when I lay in bed, usually I'll get 15 to 20 minutes of reading. I have found that that really helps me just kind of power down a little bit. It has become routine. We also have light dimmers. We have the automatic lights so that around like 8:30, the lights dim so that my body can start to feel, okay, it's almost time to sleep. Woosah, it's time to calm down, That has been really helpful as well. Again, you may not have those things. It's all about finding this as a template and working the plan for yourself. That's that, folks. That is how I am going to make a full body composition change by January, and then hopefully continue on to a maintenance phase and then another body composition phase, because ultimately I would like to lose around 70 pounds. It is time for me to fully commit to a lower weight class instead of just faffing about. It is time to actually get my cardiovascular fitness where I want it to be so that I can support all of the daily activities that I want. And it is time to sleep like a grown-up who has to take care of a toddler when they start screaming at 6 a.m. These are the things that I'm doing. Hopefully, I have inspired you to do a little bit of work on yourself for the next 4 months. I really like front loading a lot of this stuff so that by January, when everybody is starting with their New Year's resolutions, you can be like, that's great for you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy. I hope those things work out. I've already done all that. Thank you very much. I have set these systems in motion and now I can just continue to be disciplined. It is a fantastic feeling. I hope that I have helped you. If you have any questions about my process or any specific questions relating to your process, leave them in the comments or join our Discord. Thank you so much for watching. Get strong and stay strong.